Alright, hello my recruits, this is the Malachite Paladin with a Let's Play of Fire Emblem 7, and this will be the first part, this is the first part of obviously, and I will be playing through on normal mode first, and then later on I'll play on hard mode, but on the alternative story for the main story, because I enjoy this game a lot and I want to show as much of it off as I can. Alright, we gotta enter our character's name. As you can see, it's the character's name right away is Mark. I don't know why exactly they chose that name, but Mark is not super important to the story. Because Mark is the perspective character, but Mark is not the character that the story is about. Alright. Now we gotta do the prologue. A girl from the plains. And this is how it looks. This is Lynn. She is our starting lord, if you cannot tell. And then these are her base stats. They're good for this point of the game, but she can easily fall off due to her growth rates, which are a 70% in HP, a 40% in strength, a 60% in skill, a 60% in speed, a 55 in luck, a 20% in defense and resistance respectively. And then she can move 5 spaces, and she has the wind affinity, if you cannot tell. Affinities affect character like it says there, determines compatibility with other units. So later on in the game, we'll be able to have support conversations, which will boost a unit in combat, which is very nice. But now we gotta move Lynn closer to the enemy. And it is Fire Emblem's gameplay is it's not basic because it can get very complicated, but during the tutorial sections it's pretty basic. And because this was the first Fire Emblem game released in the Western regions, as it was a Japan-only series until this entry, which was released in 2003. And in that first round of combat, Lynn did 2 attacks, and that's because her speed was 5 or more points higher than her enemies. That's called doubling in the Fire Emblem community, or people often just call it a double attack or doubling. That unit got doubled or is doubling. And now we gotta move closer to the main boss, or the boss of this chapter. And this just shows how to use items. Very basic, kind of boring if you haven't played, or if are a more experienced Fire Emblem player. And this is the boss. Every chapter has a boss character and if you defeat them, some maps will stop having reinforcements, which are something that we won't have to worry about for a while. And this is I love the GBA Fire Emblem games because of because of the critical hit animations, which that was one of them, and because they're super flashy, and a critical hit is a ×3 bonus on your damage, and it happens just simply due to RNG. It can kill characters or like any unit, and sometimes they can save you, sometimes they can hurt you, and like just now it saved Lynn, but that was scripted. Oh, I forgot to pay attention to Lynn's level up. Alright. That was slightly disappointing. Alright, and since this didn't take a super long amount of time to record, I am going to move on to Chapter 1 of the game, because it's easy to do, and it's another easy chapter. And Lynn's whole, like that said, her mom and dad have passed away due to a bandit attack. She's the last of her people, and it's kind of, it comes up often in her story and occasionally in some support conversations later on in the story. But Lynn is actually not a terribly written character, but Fire Emblem series can have some very badly written characters. And that's okay, that's fine, but I often find that badly written characters aren't too badly written, because even if they're badly written, to say the least, there's always a couple of redeeming traits about them, whether that be their performance as a unit or one of their personality traits. Except most of the Fates cast, but that's not really a controversial opinion. And many people in the Fire Emblem fandom Lynn was their first waifu, if you know what that is. And that's not surprising because she is not bad looking. But because of her popularity, she has been slightly overrepresented in some of the spin-offs, which I can't say I'm mad at because I enjoy her character and her look. Alright, now we're in we are in Bulgar, the biggest city in all of Sakai, which is where Lynn lives, where her father was from. Oh hey, here comes Sane. Or who's this? I can't even joke around. This is Sane. He is a knight that Lynn hasn't met yet, but I've played through this game already, so I know him, and he's one of my favorite characters in this game, and I enjoy his design. One of his main personality traits is that he is like a player, and he'll flirt with any woman, but he's not a badly written womanizer, and he Like, he's just enjoyable because he's goofy and he's a good unit too. It's helped because of his class, but we'll see what class he is in a bit. I forgot you can skip cutscenes. Alright, so that was just explaining that if a unit dies, they will be permanently gone. But because this is Lynn's story, they will not be permanently gone. And that's okay, because I'm going to be playing as optimally as possible. But if a unit dies, I will not be resetting for them. And the Fire Emblem community calls this an Iron Man run. It's kind of like a Pokemon Nuzlocke, if you know what that is. Alright, so this is Sane. He is a cavalier, which can use swords and lances, and so they can counter 2 of the 3 physical weapon types. And his growth rates are an 80% in HP, a 60% in strength, a 35% in skill, a 40% in speed, a 35% in luck, and a 25% or 20% in both defense and resistance. So the same as Lynn. And I enjoy his character. And then here is his companion, Kent. I don't enjoy him as much because I just don't enjoy. I don't know why exactly, but he's still a very good unit as well because of his class and how Cavaliers are very good in a majority of Fire Emblem games. But his growth rates are an 85% HP, a 40% in strength, a 50% in skill, a 45% in speed, a 20% in luck, and a 25% in defense and resistance, which is pretty good. I will hopefully be using them through most of the game, and if I can't, that's okay. If I can, I plan to use Sane and throughout the entire game. Kent, I do not have to use. And this is a scripted event where Sane misses with his Iron Lance, which, if you do not know, there's a mechanic that was introduced in Fire Emblem 4 throughout most of the rest of the Fire Emblem series called the Weapon Triangle. It is axes beat lances, lances beat swords, and swords beat axes. And I don't remember the exact bonuses in this game, but it is important, but will not destroy you if you forget about it. And you can see how the bandit has significantly less has a significantly smaller hit chance against the bandit or against Kent than against Sane, and as well against Lynn, but that's because Lynn is naturally very evasive, as her avoidance is very high. this is to teach about terrain. And Sane has a 20%. So the weapon triangle is 20% to hit. I believe 1 or 2 attack points. And I believe there's a critical bonus. Potentially. I don't remember. I will look that up for the next part and tell you guys about it when I figure out what it is. And on Fire Emblem, or in Fire Emblem, there's terrain, which affects multiple things. So, like, a forest gives 1 defense and 20 avoid, which is very good, as it may allow your unit to dodge an attack that would otherwise kill them, and that would not be very cool. Alright. Now we gotta move Lynn to this woods, because Kent was like, oh, terrain helps. And it does, but it's not super important in the early game chapters, like the first 2 or 3, because the enemies are they're kind of pathetic, if in my opinion. And trading is useful because it can help a unit, like how Lynn is going to give Sane a vulnerary. You can switch around units' weapons. But this is a trading tutorial. It's not very basic. Or it's very basic. But trading can be a lot more versatile in the later entries. Or later chapters. Not later entries. And then we are given free reign of this chapter. I will move Lynn to this forest. What is this? Okay. So this bandit will either go after Lynn or Sane. And then I'll let Kent kill this bandit to give him some experience, because he'll probably be one of my more heavily used units. And that's okay with me. Alright, so he went after Sane. That's fine with me. And then, Cavaliers have this skill called Kanto, which, after a certain action, they can move again. Like, after trading or using an item, they can move again, just the rest of their movement. And Cavaliers can move 7 spaces, while other units can only move 5 or less sometimes. Like how Lynn can only move 5. And the beginning chapters are very easy. And there's hardly any worry. I hardly worry about losing units in these two because they're so heavily scripted. Like, you would have to actively just wait for a unit to die. And almost always a boss of a chapter will have a a line of dialogue when the first round of combat is initiated, and some bosses will have unique dialogue with the main lord. I got hit by a 30. Are you kidding me? Wow. That's the first time I've seen that. This just I have to hit restart. Yeah, and so if the main lord dies in a chapter, you have to restart. And that's upsetting. I will just get through all of this as quick as possible, as to not waste your guys' time. Wow, I can't believe how screwed I got by RNG there. That actually is kind of upsetting. Wow. That's actually the first time I've ever seen that happen. Or experienced that. And I love them working as a team. It's very nice. But I'll be leaving that failed attempt in because I want to show that I am not this infallible god. Of Fire Emblem. Even everyone makes mistakes, including me, with not realizing Lynn was injured. But this is just the same. Kill the enemy and get the vulnerary as always. In these early chapters, because they're so scripted, it's very difficult for them to not or it's difficult to beat them quicker than like normally. Or some chapters can be. I know how to trade. And like it just that there's always an explanation for, or there's not always an explanation, but there's oftentimes an explanation for certain event or certain things that go on in the game. Like how I just got extremely screwed, or yeah, I got screwed over by the RNG, or by RNGesus, which is fine, if not mildly upsetting. But actually, I don't know what the exact hit chance was for that, but it was very low. And there are some shortcuts to Fire Emblem games. And actually, I forgot to mention this earlier. Fire Emblem has a lot of archetypes of characters, and Sane and Kent are one of them. They are the Cain and Abel archetype. One of which is a brash knight that is enjoyable, and the other one is a more serious knight. And normally I enjoy the Abel archetypes because Abel from Fire Emblem 1, 3, and their remakes 11 and 12 are some of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. But sometimes, yeah, you like to spice it up. Because every character is someone's favorite. So I enjoy them nonetheless. Alright. I didn't screw up this time. Whoa. Let's see Lynn's level up. Second level up. Alright. Let's hope Lynn doesn't. Let's hope Lynn does not level up strength. Alright. Thank you for joining me for episode 1. I will be seeing you in the next part.